What's up, Tube? Welcome back to Low Guido's Chop Shop, second best Gel Blaster channel on the tubes. And recently I've been playing a lot of games, and with gameplay comes carnage. So what we have here is an MCX that is not participating anymore. So I'm going to find out what's wrong and we're going to fix it. First of all, there's no battery currently in this, but I will tell you that the symptoms are 5 beeps from the MOSFET and a big fat nothing. So, in order to get the battery onto this, I've got to pull the handguard off anyway. So I will start by pulling the handguard off, and also I must remove the can. There we go. Alright. Now, if I knock this pin halfway out, it'll allow me to get this handguard off. This really nice metal handguard, mind you, which I custom drilled and whatever to get this to actually fit on. It was not necessarily designed for this MCX. I think it was designed for the blue and white one, the Lihui? I think it was a Lihui. Anyway, let's get this off. I don't know what the official name is. I actually use these are from my jack stands. Actually, I use them. Let's go. All right. Now, I don't know how much is officially halfway here, but I'll go with that. See how we go. Did that make it halfway? No, not quite. I need to go a little bit further. Just to free... I want to free the handguard, but not the upper. Alright, that should be enough. Alright. It is quite a tight fit, this one, so there we go. Should slide forward, and all the accessories that are on the handguard should stay with it. Except for this button, which is on there, so I'm going to have to undo these. Alright. Undo those cables, the rest should slide off. Alright, cool. Now, you can see there is battery connector here. I will connect this up just so we can see what the symptoms are, so you guys at home know what's going on. Alright, connect up the battery, put it into semi, nothing. Auto, also nothing. That's less than I expected. Let's try plugging a battery in so we can hear what happens. Alright. Semi. Okay, so it sounds like it tries to spin, something locks, and then it beeps 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was like 3? No, just 5. Just beeps 5 times continuously. Now I don't have the trouble codes on me, but I think that means there's a problem. Let's be real. Sounds like the motor's trying to spin, but something's locking up in the gearbox. So it's quite likely there might be a broken tooth or something that is stopping the motor from being able to spin. And right, because this is a front battery, the wire runs all the way through the handguard into the handguard here. So when you're removing the upper, you've got to be very gentle and careful not to rip the terminals off the wire, because that is a possibility. Now I think this Dean's connector is too big to get through here, so technically I'll have to undo the outer barrel and all this sort of stuff to get it off, but I have a feeling I might just be able to get enough length to just get, yeah, there we go, and I'll be able to do hopefully the rest of the work getting this lower out with just basically having the upper sitting there, so I don't have to undo too much there. I want to do the bare minimum. Alright, let's get this motor out. It's a little tiny Allen screw on the bottom there. Let's find that. Alright, so it looks like it's a 2mm Allen screw. And then I think there's a pin. So I might just be able to push this pin out with the 2mm Allen screw I already had there. Alright, winning. Now, got the motor in here, move the terminals, slide this motor out. Might need like a little long nose pliers to get a grip on there because it is quite far up in the grip and my fingers can't quite get a purchase on it. Alright, always with care obviously, gently pulling. Don't want to damage the can or anything when you're pulling it out. Alright, so the gear on that motor looks alright. You can see it there. Does have some signs of usage, but it's not too bad. Doesn't look terrible. Set that aside. And then we're going to have two more screws up in the grip. They're usually Phillips, but who knows what could be in here. Yeah, Phillips. Phillips it is. Alright. I recently got this new little screwdriver, which is kind of cool. It does lack a little bit of torque, but it does also have a little torch built into the end of it. So when you're doing the grip screws, you can actually get down in there and actually see what you're doing, which is pretty cool. But the torque is lacking sometimes, and the grip itself, being a shiny cylinder, doesn't have a lot of grip to hold on to. But I might do a video on that later. Let me know if you're interested. But this is not about the screwdriver. This is about getting these screws undone. Alright, got those screws. Carefully pop the motor wires through their holes. Set that grip aside. Alright, so looks like we've got an LDX gearbox in this, which is it's a LDX Expert by the looks of it. And that's a split gearbox, so the rear pin here actually holds the top half of the gearbox. So with the exception of the mag terminals, which you will have to pop off, the whole upper half of the gearbox of this should be able to be removed. So just see if I can pop the mag terminals off. As always, there we go. Drop something, that's okay. Alright, there we go, look at that. Top half of the gearbox removed. Now, it's relatively easy from this point to service the top half of the gearbox. One of the only gripes I have with these particular gearboxes is the spring retainer and or the where the part of the back gearbox where the spring retainer sits is not, it's not perfectly flat, and if it can have this little rock to it, which eventually, if this is firing a lot and this is rocking a lot, eventually it will wear out the back of this gearbox and it will eat its way through. So that's the only downside I've found to these particular expert boxes. Now from here we can see the bottom half and the gears, and we can see if anything has gone poorly here. However, I think I'd rather just remove this whole gearbox. We're gonna have to no doubt remove the lower of this to fix the gears or whatever's broken inside anyway, so we'll do that. And we'll start with what appears to be a 2.5 Allen screw head on this selector. Yep. Alright, and of course don't lose your detent. There's a spring detent in there. Don't lose it. I'll pop all my screws in a magnetic bowl because I have one. Alright. We'll do the same on the other side. No detent on this side, just the screw. Detent is only on the opposite side. Alright, now I feel like, we got to remove the mag release. Now this is one of those ones, it's one of those ones where it spins around, isn't it? Alright, so yeah, so it unscrews from the other side. Alright, so push it up, spin it around. It's a little bit awkward, especially with this huge bolt release in the way. Probably should take the bolt release out. I'm going to take the bolt release out first. It's just going to make it that a little bit easier for me to get this done. It's like a little pin here, a little roll pin or something here. There we go. Pop that out. Remove that, and now it's going to make it at least 3 times easier for me to unscrew the mag catch. Alright, with that unscrewed, spring button on the other side, pins and bolt release in the magnetic thing. Alright, pin, one last pin. Don't forget the last pin. Alright. The last pin. Oh yeah, that is a solid one. Alright, this pin requires a bit of gentle persuasion. So we will gently persuade that pin out. Now we should be able to remove the gearbox. The gearbox should be free, except that I've knocked the rear pin back in while I was punching. Alright, so it should come out, but we will need to keep an eye on the ambi gears as it comes out, because they are just sitting there. Same on the other side. Oh, and that one. That one's retained a little bit better because it's behind the selector plate, but alright, now we have that one free from the lower. There's the lower out of the way, handguard can go, and we've still got this wire caught up in the upper here, so I might just unscrew the screws on this upper so that I can get that off and out of the way, just so I can access the gearbox alone. So I was just moving this upper to a position where I could get at the screws, and as I moved it, a small Phillips head screw fell out of the upper. Now I believe that screw is attached to the it attaches the faux bolt to the charging handle. There's two of them, but one of them fell out, so I'm hoping that's not the problem. I'm hoping that like a screw hasn't just fallen out of the upper and fallen down in and jammed stuff up, because in these gearboxes that is plausible, because they do have a hole in the upper here. So it's actually quite plausible that a screw could have fallen down from here, landed in the gears, and then stopped it from turning. If that's it, well, that would be good. But I might have to test it and see. Alright, so first of all, I'm just gonna remove these screws so I can potentially free this power cable. Okay. I don't think I can. I have a feeling that I terminated this Dean's connector once it was through that hole. I'm just looking at this receiver. There's no way I can get that through that hole with the terminal attached. So I'm either going to take the terminal off, or yeah, I'm just going to take the terminal off. Alright, let's do it that way. don't be afraid if you're ever doing some work like this and you find that there's a situation where you're like, this would be easier to do if I take something off, and you're like, no, I don't want to do that because I want to do it the easy way. And the easy way is like by leaving the upper dangling off the end of the power cable, and the hard way is just desoldering these terminals. Quite often you might not realize it, but you have the easy way and the hard way mixed up. The easy way is actually going to be just desoldering these, and the hard way would be to have that thing flopping around off the end of the wire for the whole time. See, just by taking these off, which is actually quite easy to do, I've made my life so much easier for the rest of the work. Like being able to pull that out and put this out of the way and just work on this little box is so much easier. It's the same with working on cars. I see a lot of people working on cars who want to like cramp themselves into a little tiny hole because they don't want to go through taking the engine out. And so they leave the engine in and try to get the work done while the engine's still in the car, but they think they're doing it the easier way. Realistically, the easier way would be to just drop the engine out, get easy access to everything and put it back in. So in this case, the easy way is to just desolder that terminal. Now I'm just going to solder it back on for testing. I'm not going to bother with heat shrink because I will be taking it off again to put it back in. And if you have like a helping hand, one of those little soldering clamps or something, that can make this job a bit easier for you. But given, oh, still too hot, no. Given that this is not a permanent fixture, and I will be taking this off again, I'm not that concerned about just soldering it in my hand like that and then just doing some testing. Now I'm just going to pop this back together, pop a pin in there and pop the terminals back on, just so I can hook the battery up and give this a test. I'm also going to whack the grip back on, obviously, because you need the grip on for the motor. Alright, I got the grip on. I'm just going to whack a little piece of tape across the back here. Yeah, look, there's a residue there. Is that tape residue? No, it's just scratches. I thought that was tape residue from where I've previously whacked tape on this gearbox, but that might not be the case. I'm just going to whack a bit of tape there, just so that the pin doesn't go flying out. Motor in. Positive. Positive this way, negative that way. This particular grip is actually a fairly tight fit with the motor, so make sure you don't pinch your wires in there too much. Alright, test time. The battery connected up. Make sure that my dodgy quick soldering is okay. Safety is on. Wind back a bit for semi. That's interesting. It cycles well. It feels, I can feel air pressure coming out. I don't know how to demonstrate that to you guys, but well, here's a little screw that fell out. I wonder if that was the problem. Oh, see, that screw just shot across the desk from the air pressure from that. So, she's good to go. I have a feeling that this little screw from the upper has fallen down into the top of that, because I mean it was on the charging handle, right? So it's quite likely with this gap that they have in the top of the gearbox, it is quite likely that that screw did indeed fall down. I've lost my pin from the back that I just sort of put in there temporarily. Did actually fall down and jam the gearbox. And of course, the MOSFET detected the overamperage and shut it down to save the gears. If that's not good advertisement for MOSFETs, I don't know what is. Anyway, I think that was our problem. So I'm going to whack it back together and see if she still chooches. It's good because, like, I mean, this MCX has actually been a really clean and good and reliable build. The expert gearbox with, I mean, just pretty much just straight out of the box, really, like with the MOSFET that comes with it in the MCX, and it's been a good one. I can't remember what this spring is, but it could be M100, thereabouts, somewhere like that. I think it's doing 330-ish FPS. Maybe a little higher depending on which field you chrono at. Yeah, I think that might have been the issue. And I'm going to whack it back together and see if that's it. Alright, now let's work on this upper, because that's where the screw came from. So we're going to have to remove the charging handle and the bolt carrier. Okay, so these two little holes here are where the bolt screws in, like that. And these little bad boys, I believe, are what the problem was. Like, these have come loose out of here and as a result have dropped straight through the top of the gearbox, which again, as I've mentioned, is open. You can drop things straight through there and they will drop straight into the gearbox. So not an awesome design, but it is there for a purpose. There is some blasters that have a blowback mechanism, a reciprocating mechanism that goes in there, so that's what that's for. I've never really used that option, but it's there. Alright, so Loctite. We're going to Loctite these little screws in so that they don't come out again. Alright. I'll save you the rigmarole of watching me Loctite it. Or maybe I won't. Maybe we can just all come along for the ride. Alright. Heaps of Loctite on that one. Put heaps on this one too. Whoa, too much. Too much. How much Loctite is too much? That much. That's heaps. Alright. I'm just gonna... Oh my god. I'm gonna send it in there and then I'll wipe the excess off afterwards. Alrighty. We are in. Nice and tight. And I'm just gonna wipe that excess. Alright, good to go. Go back in here. Alright, and that just goes in there, and that's held in by the lower, so when the lower's in place that holds that in, and when that opens that usually will flick this little guy open. Might not work right now because it's not, there we go, there, and then you see the faux bolt moving. Alright, cool. I'll pop this upper back on and get everything back together. I already said I was going to put it back together, but then I thought I should probably go through the upper section there and show you where the actual problem was. So hopefully that Loctite going to hold that on nicely now. We won't have any problems in the future. Alright, well, that concludes this episode of Please Fix My Blaster. All back together. Had to resolder the Dean's connector back on the front because front wired blasters suck. But it pays to keep an eye on things and make sure that all your little screws are Loctited in place, because this little bad boy, this little guy here, I did replace the screw, but with a new one. This one was a little bit worn from where it obviously jammed in the gears, but this little screw jamming in the gears can ruin your day. And fortunately for this, the big R MOSFET, you know what, I haven't put the magnifier on. The big R MOSFET fortunately saved the day. Before any damage could occur, the protection circuit kicked in and saved the blaster from any damage. Alright. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you're interested in buying a patch, hit me up on the Face page or go to Hardcore Blasters and pick up a patch from them, because they have a bunch of patches of mine for sale as well. If you like what I'm doing, you can always support my channel by buying me a coffee in the link below as well. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace.